Hello and welcome to our pilot episode of Lions in the Field. I'm James Carnell.
And I'm Amy Trober.
We are excited to bring you, our SAGU family and friends, the latest news, notes, and feature stories that celebrate how our graduates are impacting the world for the cause of Christ.
James and I are both blessed to work in the alumni office where we interact with thousands of Lions in the Field who are trained to succeed in vocational and marketplace ministry right here at SAGU. In season 1 of our show, Lions in the Field, we are going to release 4 episodes once a month across the summer and early fall of 2022. We hope these shows will keep you informed and connected to all the important highlights and stories that define the Southwestern family.
All of the video segments you will see are produced by students in the Digital Media Arts program, which is part of the Communication Arts Department here at SAGU. We want to begin this pilot episode with our Pride Profiles, mini documentaries that allow us to take a closer look into the lives of our alumni.
That's right, James. And batting leadoff is 2015 graduate Morgan Delaney. After earning a degree in social work, Morgan, who came to the States from the Bahamas, chose to stay in the Dallas-Fort Worth area because she was angry at the rise of human trafficking across North Texas. Morgan's passion to rescue young women from unspeakable trauma has placed her on the front lines of both deliverance and danger. Here's her story.
I remember going on one of these trips and, I actually was like, I don't want to go to school, go to college with a bunch of my friends that I had grown up with. I wanted to start fresh. And so I was like, I'm not going to want to go to SAGU because this is where all of my friends are going. And then as soon as I stepped foot on the campus, I just absolutely fell in love with it. I was a part of multiple prayer ministries on campus, starting my freshman year all the way basically until I graduated. Those moments really shifted, I feel like, the trajectory of just my whole life. Chapel services were absolutely incredible, and we really, learned so much. I always felt called to the human rights world. I've always had a justice heart, and so I just didn't necessarily know what that looked like. I learned and discovered that I wanted to be in this industry, specifically from a situation that had happened super close to my backyard. This apartment that I live in, my home, I would drive past this building actually directly across the street for 6 months at a time. And so every time I would pass by this building, I'm in a very nice area of Dallas, very close to downtown. I'm there's lots of businesses, it's up and coming. But every time I would drive past this building, it was an older spot. I'm something's not right there. And so I felt the Lord just invite me to start praying every time I would drive past this building for 6 months every day. And so there's one day in specific, the Lord told me to have some of your friends over and just have a prayer meeting for the city of Dallas. So for about 2 hours, we just started praying for just different things, our leaders, and then we started praying for the place across the street. And so that night had ended and we didn't really think much about it after that. So 3 or 4 days later, I was driving home from work and my entire street was completely blocked off because probably about 20 cop cars were outside of this building that I was man, this is super sketchy. And the next day it came out in the front page news.
Dallas police, along with Homeland Security, broke up a human trafficking ring after a months-long investigation. Police say they were preying on women who are not from this country, promising work, forcing them into prostitution.
The spa across the street from my house had about 27 women who had been recovered that were being trafficked literally 400 feet away from my house. And so through that, it really woke something up in me that really from there decided I want to learn, I want to educate myself. What are some organizations, some ways that I can get my foot in the door? Because it's something that I just became really passionate about very quickly. And so a girl from my church, I was introduced to her. She's actually the therapist, the full-time therapist on our team. And she was like, I work for this organization and we are about to open our first safe house, and I wanted to know if you'd be interested. And so that is how I ended up with Treasured Vessels. And so it's been a journey. Treasured Vessels is a nonprofit organization, and we focus specifically on the aftercare and recovery for women who have been trafficked here in the Dallas area. And so we are located in the North Dallas area. And so we don't necessarily do the rescuing of the women. There's tons of organizations that are doing that across the US. We are actually one out of very few organizations that provide long-term mental health care and a long-term place for these survivors to live and receive the care that they deserve. And so that is what we do. Our program is 18 to 24 months long. And so it really gives them an opportunity to heal, but also a lot of our survivors they are super involved in just school. So they have like education opportunities. They have therapy on every aspect. So we have all types of therapy available. We have like equine therapy, which is like riding horses. Then we have like dance therapy, yoga therapy, like all the things. And so, yeah, just being a part of their journey has been really, really cool.
Let's take a look now at the news happening around SAGU inside a brief segment we call SAGU Social. The cost of attending college isn't getting any cheaper across most schools in America, but students here at SAGU are getting some help from people they may not even know.
Yes, James, and every year, SAGU holds a luncheon for donors of the school to come together with the current students for a scholarship luncheon. The meal is a time where donors can make a connection with the students receiving that financial aid. This year, nearly 150 scholarships totaling over $300,000 were given to SAGU students, and while every scholarship was at least $1,000, several donors were exceeding $5,000 grants.
Many scholarships are given in the memory of loved ones who have passed. The majority of donors give because they also once attended school here and know the financial burden it has on students. Most of the scholarships are awarded to ministry majors or missions majors. Amy, this year was a record year for SAGU in the number of applications we received for scholarships.
That's right. We had over 400 students apply. I think word is finally getting out that this is a great opportunity for students to help supplement what they need financially on their student bills.
And what would you say? Get your application in early?
Absolutely. After the break, we'll introduce two new segments you'll see in every episode of Lions in the Field. One takes a look back at the trailblazers who carved the path for SAGU today, while another segment looks ahead at what's in store for the future Lions here on the Waxahachie campus. We'll be right back.
Over the decades, many Spirit-led people have laid a solid foundation for today's Lions to combine faith and learning here on the SAGU campus. We are going to bring you their stories in a series called Legacy Lions. Today, we'll hear the story of one of the greatest lions that's ever walked our Waxahachie campus. Even at the age of 93, you can still often see him around SAGU, praying and interceding on its behalf. One of our resident halls even bears his name. Former President Delmer Guynes kicks off this 4-part series with a conversation with our own Dr. Danny Alexander. Together, they unpacked Delmer Guynes' rich heritage, his faith, and his passion for the kingdom.
Welcome, Dr. Guynes, for this interview opportunity. You know, you and I, we have sat across from each other many, many times through the past years and had the opportunity to visit, and so I consider it a great privilege and honor to visit with you today. And so let's just jump right in. How did Southwestern play a role in your call to missions? And who are some of the influential professors that you had when you were a student at Southwestern?
Dr. Alexander, when I was a student, that's quite a while ago, just after the war, World War II, and quite honestly, the greatest influence, I think, was from the service personnel who had come out of the war. Many of them had been in the war, had been in very serious situations, their lives sometimes at stake. And amazingly, they had gotten saved or they had rededicated themselves, and they came to the campus out of all of that, but with a great burden to go back to where they had been. The war was over, but they had a burden for those places and those countries and those places where they had been in the war. And they kind of exuded that worldwide feeling all through campus, and it was a very unusual situation in those days.
Was there one specific moment that became a pivotal time that you knew that you had been called to work with missions?
Yes, but not right away. When I came, I'd just been saved a short while. I had no background in anything. I hardly knew where the Old Testament ended, the New Testament started. It was a difficult time, and I was learning a great deal. And actually, the pivotal moment came a bit later on, after the girl who became my wife, Eleanor Smith. We were kind of interested in each other, and it was growing interest. I'm very thankful for that. But she told me one day, she said, God called me to China. I heard an audible voice. I was totally surprised. I didn't know anything about that. And she said, you know, we're getting interested in each other, but you have to know I'm going to China. And we thought, well, we better pray about this because I wasn't sure. I didn't even know where China was, quite honestly. I was just a kid. And we agreed to take 3 weeks, I think, and pray and not see each other or anything like that. And it was during that period of time and during a missions convention with Charles Greenaway, a missionary to Africa, that God came down on me in a most unusual way. And I was in the chapel, felt a great move of the Spirit of God, didn't go to class, went to my room, spent the whole morning in prayer. And during the time I was there, God very definitively, from the scriptures, gave me a call that I was absolutely certain had to do with China and missionary work.
You have distinguished yourself in the kingdom of God in many areas. As a pastor, a missionary, AG Missions Personnel Director, educator, faculty member, educator, administrator, educator, and president. Now, after all of these years, if you were describing your primary identification in ministry, what would you describe it as? A
That's
missionary?
simple. A very simple thing for me. I'm a missionary educator. I've never been anything any different than a missionary educator. And for me, it's just a part of my life. And whether I'm a president of a college or university or an administrator in our foreign missions office or whatever I'm doing, pastoring, it's still that. I'm a missionary educator, and I'm very content with that kind of identity.
As the world evolves, SAGU and its future master plans make sure that they are not left behind. College football remains a highly watched sport in the great state of Texas, and SAGU is planning one of the school's biggest establishments, which should excite all fans who love to cheer on the SAGU Lions. Southwestern has officially announced the opening of a new athletic stadium located right behind the Schaefer Center. Construction of the stadium will begin as early as the beginning of next month, and it will be completed no later than the end of August of this year. As students continue to achieve their goals and be a testimony of our Heavenly Father, they can look forward to spending free time packing the newly anticipated stadium.
After our last break, Amy and I will introduce one more segment you can expect to see in each episode. We'll show you video essays that showcase some of the artistic creativity of our current SAGU student body and recent alumni. We'll be right back.
All right, here we go. It starts here, 8-10, take one.
Good, how are you?
Good.
Coach D, I did want to start with you. Okay.
Why do you think student athletes come to SAGU?
Yeah, I'm in to showcase your talents in your sport, but I think SAGU uniquely gives you a family atmosphere, it gives you a community, it gives you a chance to grow your whole self, to your spiritual growth especially, to who you are as a man or who you are as a person. And I think that we offer a little bit deeper understanding of yourself whenever you leave, and I think that whenever they leave here, they really feel a part of something bigger than themselves.
Okay, so Dad, what have you enjoyed most about being in SAGU's basketball program?
It feels like a family, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else just because like how fun it is, and it's just been a really great experience.
I've never been in a place that has just loved on each other as much as the people do here at SAGU, and I think our guys feel it. I know I feel it as a coach.
The people, not just in basketball, but outside of basketball, are like so selfless and actually genuinely care about you.
It starts here.
In our final segment of this first episode of Lions in the Field, we want to introduce you to On Safari.
On Safari is a collection of video essays that displays the amazing talents of current SAGU students and recent alumni. On this edition, 2021 graduate Esther Landers highlights a sensitive topic. Here is Hopeless Generation, a spoken word on suicide prevention.
Think. Dive deep and drown in the possibilities of your mind. You're one of a kind. The thoughts you think have never been thought by someone quite like you. You're an original. And every idea that you have is worth just a little more consideration. Just think. What if the you today would say, I'm gonna try, so that you tomorrow will have made the difference? What if we didn't have to borrow from the excuses of our parents who sat stagnant, ignorant to the world they would make a youth saying, take my life? A phrase that dances across the lips of friends like a trend to blend yesterday and tomorrow into a life of sorrow. It will never get better. Our chances are slim that we will ever win. I mean, what a hopeless generation. A girl not yet a woman, hardly past 10, she never fits in. And she was looking kinda dumb with her fingers and her thumb in the shape of a gun to her forehead, but we'll never forget the smile on her face as she held it there. or how nobody stares, because it's nothing new. It's true. Self-hatred has become a fact now widely accepted, and I guess I missed it because to me it's still a disease. I refuse to believe that the world is condemned to wallow in depression, suicidal thoughts run rampant, dependent on the feeble of will, while we sit still and wonder which of our friends will be the next to fall. In all, 121 will today. It's a travesty. What if we sought the broken with the same fervor that he sought us? What if the next thing to fall were the suicide rates? If we taste of the reflection in his eyes, and in going there showed the world that we walked with pride, if every stride led to a purpose in which others could follow, our hollow perceptions of deception, depression would lessen. What if we fought? Because if each one is a person, the number's too high. Each statistic has a heartbeat and it had to die. There's no hiding the fact. So what will you do about that?
Wow, what a sobering and powerful video.
That was extremely touching. I myself have had someone take their life close to me, and it really impacts people for the long term.
Yeah, so true, so true. Well, thank you so much for watching episode 1 of Lions in the Field. We'll release another 3 episodes over the next 3 months as we set our sights for an exciting fall 2022 semester here at SAGU. This was fun, James.
This was. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
On behalf of our team of student producers from the Digital Media Arts program and our executive producer, who also is our boss, Rick Bowles, we want to thank you for watching. And remember, for every SAGU Lion in the field, your story starts here.